Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and another Kamen Rider podcast.
Yes, and today we're covering the Kamen Rider Kiva series. And once again, our Rascal Family member Playmaker returns to join us.
Woo!
Happy as always.
Now, this particular Kamen Rider series is actually Playmaker's favorite, and since he got it for us to watch for the first time, he'll be having lots of facts about the show to share with you throughout.
Yes.
But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notifications for future podcasts, and all pause videos.
thank you so much for joining us today. Subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting everything you do. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
So,
Kiva.
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 Very, very interesting Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
Granted, this is only the second one we finished.
Right.
But it is very different from Kuga, which is good.
Right.
And this kind of solidifies what Playmaker told us, that each Kamen Rider is different
Yes.
in its own way. Sometimes entirely different.
Right.
Yeah, every series is always going to be like more dramatic, less dramatic, and obviously besides the overall themes, like how Kiva is from Kuga, there's also like the level of pressure each character has, and here we see Kiva has a lot more pressure on him for the obvious reasons we're going to bring up.
Right.
Right. And I do like that there's always some different kind of threat each time, whether they're traditional monsters or evil ninjas or evil agents or something. Each one has its own unique variation of villains, whoever's supposed to be the big bad of the series. So you see all the different costumes, the names, the powers.
Motorcycles.
Right, and motorcycles. And it's something different each time. And you know that it's so stand out that only this specific Kamen Rider has it. And Kiva is no exception.
So before we get started on all the fun, for those of you not familiar with Kamen Rider Kiva, it originally premiered in 2008. It's a tokusatsu, make sure I get it right, TV series produced by Toei Company and Ishimori Productions. Excuse me. And it's the 18th series overall. So this particular series covers the genre of tokusatsu, superhero fiction, supernatural, gothic fiction, which we were surprised at, and dark fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to the cast a little later, and we're going to get to a lot of facts and fun right now.
Yes.
So before we get totally started, Playmaker, how did you get into Kiva?
Well, I was originally trying to watch all Kamen Riders, where when I finally got the opportunity to get their complete series, I just got the ones that I thought were fun to me first. At first, I tried watching Kamen Rider Ryuki when I got it. Didn't really enjoy that. Then I got Kuga, and then after realizing that they're like all the Kamen Riders were in the different periods, from the Heisei to the Reiwa and whatnot, that's when I started to get them in order. And then I believe I watched Kuga. It was the 5th Kamen Rider series I watched. But after I got Kuga, I decided to get one after the other came out after each year. And after seeing each one, I definitely felt Kiva, was my my most favorite out of them all, just because of its overall plot, story, everything. That, not to mention, my copy had like the best subtitles and the actual, best actual English translation out of them all, since some of them were pretty bad quality.
Now, this one has more of a horror theme, and of course, as you had let us know when you were doing a review of some of the series, it has vampires, but they're not called vampires.
They're called
Fangires.
Bang vampires, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's the same thing. Never mind.
Hey, it's different. So,
Yeah.
how does this compare to others you've seen? Is it the first one to have a horror fantasy theme, or are there other Kamen Rider series that can be equivalent to it?
Well, in general, no. I mean, kind of like how we said, like, a lot of tokusatsu series and Kamen Riders and Super Sentai, they use, like, general monsters and whatnot. And more often than not, they will use, like, a typical, mythical kind of monster, like, a vampire here, a werewolf there, a creature from the lake there, they'll all be based on it. But I will definitely say, from what I've understood, Kiva is definitely the first where the entire series is based on, like, the more ancient and mythical and I guess more, movie generic monsters than any other series.
And we kind of were thinking it's gothic, but kind of romance too.
Yes.
I know that.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
very much so.
definitely. Especially with all the stained glass that we thought were flowers at first.
Yeah.
And you was like, no, the stained glass. But
what?
that was really
Yeah.
different from anything we'd ever seen.
Right.
Yeah, that part surprised me too at first. I didn't really get the glass part of it. I thought it was just meant to represent just glass in general, like like they break easily as glass or whatnot, or he's so tough that it's like glass. But no, after learning about the whole gothic aesthetic they were going for, and the whole I call it church glass window they went for like at least from the other episodes later in the series.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying to go with stained glass for all the monsters, and each one was so unique because every Fangier, they weren't just vampires; they all were based on different animals, and each animal had was built with that stained glass in a different way.
Right. And I like that you can see that each Fangier they do have, and then when they transform, every single one is designed differently from each other.
Yeah.
They take you a minute to realize what animal they're supposed to be sometimes, but all of them are unique. They all have their own different powers and names and everything.
You were on a roll, though. You were naming animals.
Like, one was supposed to be a frog, and it's like, it looks like it's an infection or something. Like, that's the frog. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were thinking it was Double D that was the bubonic plague.
Right.
And it was also fun seeing references that we thought were references, and you pointing out some things for us, or asking us, did you notice anything or did you see anything? Because there were, I guess for us, a whole lot more here than in Kuga, since Kuga was the gateway for us for Kamen Rider.
Right.
This one we're like, we got one under our belt. Okay, let's look for references.
Right.
And we'll get to some of those shortly, especially a couple you have, and one that Rascal pointed out that was pretty cool. I read that this was actually the first episode was in honor of Ishimori's 70th birthday. Is that correct? The first episode?
Okay, that I personally did not know.
Oh.
But it also wouldn't surprise me, considering like a lot of other series that that are meant to be either anniversary series or whatnot. They typically either make them anniversary series because either they're the next in line of the series, or like a denominator there, like a fifth or a 10th series, or like I said, because it's an anniversary of a certain person in there, like Ishinomori.
Right.
But to that extent, it said no. I did not know that episode was based off of it. No.
So Shoro Ishimori, from what we learned, he's considered the king of manga. Can you tell them a little more about that? So I'm just not throwing in a name and they're like, what are you talking about? Can you clarify a little more for us?
All right.
No, I mean, you know who Ishinomori is, so can you tell them a little more about who he is?
Oh yeah, Ishinomori.
Yeah,
he was originally one of the biggest manga artists out there, creating all sorts of different characters and genres and whatnot. But like as I mentioned in the Kiva podcast too, he's the most famous manga that started this whole thing was Cyborg 009, a team of crime fighters who were all cybernetic, and that's where the aesthetic for Kamen Rider came from, cybernetic or cyborgs.
Right.
Oh wow.
And we've watched, I think, 6 episodes so far. We're watching it really slowly, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But yeah, basically he was like using the template for what Cyborg 009 did for basically all the other shows, and then what would later even inspire Kiva thereon, just your basic blueprint superhero fighting off an evil organization or evil entity using just the powers that were either enhanced to him or were given to him, and he just does it, and he pretty much fights every villain episodically until one day eventually fighting off the evil forever.
Okay. So if you did not know about him, now you know, and you can also always go online, check out more, and check out Cyborg 009. Also, we were very surprised when we started watching. Like, this is really different.
Yeah.
And you can also see where other anime have borrowed from or were inspired by this anime.
Right.
So that's always pretty neat to see. Okay, so the main character in here is Wataru Kurenai. Is that correct?
Kurenai.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's likable. We like that probably by the third episode, we were like, okay,
Right.
he's a nice guy. Okay.
Right. He's just very, 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 very awkward.
And he's different from Kuga, which is good. Again, from what you were explaining, they try to make each series stand out and have its own thing, I guess you could say. We'll put it that way.
Right.
And he's more artistic.
Yeah.
Because he's a musician.
Right.
And, of course, we mentioned about the gothic fantasy and the romance, and he fits right in with that. We weren't sure if he had on a red wig or he dyed his hair red.
Yeah, we couldn't tell.
And you can tell that his clothing and things are meant to be more in that type of style as well.
Right.
And his armor.
Oh, yeah, yes. It's melded with that, too.
Especially is it his final form with the cape? That red cape?
The Emperor form,
Yes.
Yes.
with the cape and armor.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it's called. As we were going through, if you mentioned the references, you had said multiple times that there are lots of things that Star Wars Forces of Evil had taken from here and referenced from this particular Kamen Rider, especially with
Yes.
the theme that they had ongoing with multiple Fangires falling in love with humans. And this is one of their conflicts in the show, both in here and in Star. Only in Kiva, it was becoming such a problem that they were actually sending someone out to just wipe them out because they were getting tired of all of them reforming and not harming the humans. They said, okay, we'll just wipe you out with the people too because you won't stop. Why the heck do you keep falling for humans? Just stop it.
So the main standout for this, and you can definitely get to explaining and telling us all about this, is that this takes place in two different time periods. 86 and 2008, and he's also the son of a former Kamen Rider. Is that correct?
Well, more like he was a Kamen Rider, but like he was more like a stand-in, like the secondary antagonist for his time. He wasn't like formally the Kamen Rider. He just wore the armor for somebody else multiple times.
So he was a
Again,
hunter.
Like, for those of you who wouldn't know, like you'd have to watch the series to understand. But yeah, he was basically the stand-in for the rider.
Okay.
Tell us more about that.
Okay, so the biggest plot here is like you said, the whole series takes place in both 1982 and 2008. In 1982, which is where like at least story-wise the beginning of it all takes place.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off with Wataru's father, Otoya Kurenai. I'm just gonna say it aloud. He's like the Tokusatsu version of Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes.
That's one of the funniest parts in here.
Yes. Oh my gosh, he's a womanizer. He loves playing the violin. He literally will walk down the street with one woman, sees another one walking by, goes off to her, sees another woman, goes up to her.
Yes.
It's like, man, he won't stop.
No. But curiously, so the Fangire, like I have to start off here. The Fangire are vampiric monsters that have been slowly consuming humankind for their life energy for centuries. And so an agency called the Wonderful Blue Sky Agency, I believe it was called, they're an agency that is tasked to destroy the Fangire. Mm-hmm. And one of their agents, Yuri, she tries to chase a Fangire when, surprise, surprise, her path crosses with Otoya. And he tries to
and she becomes the challenge.
Yeah.
Because she ignores him and it's like, I want her now because she's not paying attention to me.
Yeah, we're like, here we go.
And then surprisingly, when the Fangire comes in, we realize that Otoya is a really good fighter. He takes the blade that she uses to fight the Fangire, and he actually holds us up well.
Yeah.
So that's why they become interested in him and thinking that, hey, he could be a good asset to us. And so basically their entire story in 1982 goes over them fighting Fangire after Fangire and see what his worth would be as they meet different characters. Meanwhile, while in 2008, we see his son, Wataru, who apparently said that he was his father, whom he never met because he supposedly died at birth. And then Wataru also meets up with the agency through Yuri's daughter.
Right. Megami.
Yes. Yeah, and together they Megumi meets up with Wataru being that awkward fellow that we know, and because apparently he tries to steal her leftover fish.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then through a series of other situations here and there, he realizes what she does, fights the Fangire like her mother, and she just tries to be that fellow friend in the background. When really, Wataru is the Kamen Rider Kiva, and they don't really explain to us how he is, where he gets his powers from, and whatnot. But something seems off that his powers look very similar to the Fangire.
And then his assistant is Kiva the Bat the Third.
Yeah.
I like saying it.
Yeah.
And then
That is literally.
and we finally understood that he was with the Fangires and left them and went to help Wataru.
Yeah. Like,
it took us a while to understand that.
Yes.
Yeah. And one other funny thing I wanted to point out here, the funny thing I wanted to mention, Kivat is literally, like, his name is actually meant to be a play on between the name Kiva, the name of the Kamen Rider, and Bat, Kivat. But the funny thing is, his name is Kivat the Bat. Why is he called Kivat the Bat? Is Vat already means bat in his name? It's like ATM machine when M stands for machine.
Yeah, it is. I guess bat the thing.
I also thought there was a type of cat called a Kiva. And maybe that's what they're trying to differentiate. Well, he's not a cat, he's a bat.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to play on it, yeah.
Probably. Oh, man, but then and for a long time, it actually does seem like in the past of 1982 that Yuri and Otoya are going to get together, and we think, oh, maybe that means Wataru and Megami are siblings.
Yes, we thought so.
And like, oh no, oh no.
Oh my gosh. But no, it drove it further that, and combining with what you told us that Kivat was once with the Fangires.
Right.
We learned later that Wataru's dad actually fell in love with a woman who he suspected at first, but didn't know until later, with a woman named Maya, who was, like you said, a Fangire whose literally task was to stop other Fangires from falling in love.
Yeah.
Surprise,
she's
surprise,
a queen.
She falls in love.
Queen of the Fangires,
yes.
right?
Yes,
yeah.
The queen of it all.
Yes.
And then somewhere along the lines, obviously they wouldn't mention it output, but somewhere along the lines they had Wataru together. So Wataru is literally a mix of human and Fangire, and he's training himself to fight the Fangire.
Yes, he's a halfer.
Yes. Like we learned.
And what I thought was pretty interesting, as I said, Yuri was a challenge. And then it was almost like, okay, she's paying attention to him, she's falling in love with him. So he runs off with the Fangire. It's like, oh, dude, come on. He runs off with Maya. Then, she understands me, and she's understanding the music and telling him to get into his music, and he needs to put his heart and soul in. It's like, but you were chasing her.
Kiva had become, with all this backstory, it had become a soap opera with this in the back.
Exactly. It literally was. This whole series was just nothing but one big soap, just to let people know that two species can get together like that.
And then, not to be outdone by the 80s and the 2008s, then we had another love triangle.
Yeah.
And then we had the evidence of a sibling that Wataru didn't know he had.
Yeah.
And so many other plot twists that they just kept coming. Once you got toward the end of the series, they just kept coming left and right every episode. You could not keep up with them.
Wow.
Your head was like, whoa, and
this,
whoa,
and that,
and whoa.
Plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. And I will say that'll probably keep a lot of people engaged just to see how the next episode tops the last one with the story.
Right. So I'm going to segue from that into some similarities, Playmaker, you saw between this and another one of your favorites. Can you share that with us?
I believe it said it was Aquaman.
Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Oh, and that's it.
The other. I thought you were talking about another, as in the other series besides Star.
Well, tell us both.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first off, Star. Well, obviously, with the whole Wataru being a halfer, instantly I thought about Meteora from Star, because she's basically the same thing, a mix of two people that were meant to hate each other, but yet two of them found a way to love each other enough to have a child.
Yes.
But then, the overall aesthetic of it all seems similar. I mean, on the human side, the wonderful Blue Sky Agency, they want to say that all Fangire are nothing but cruel, heartless monsters that know nothing of love. Sound familiar to the Magical High Commission?
Yeah. You think about it, it's true, and they have a few members on council, but they don't see everybody, but you see probably the same number of people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then, again, Otoya and Maya, they're basically like Eclipsa and Glabgor.
Yes.
But just basically reversed.
Yes.
One was a queen of what looked like darkness, who had a mission to fulfill her duty and to not stray from it, but she broke her own rules, like Eclipsa, and fell in love with somebody of the opposite side. Just a commoner guy who was supposed to be wretched and vile, but they ended up having a child with each other.
And she became curious because she kept seeing other fangirls dying for their love, and then her curiosity got piqued. It was like, ooh, girl.
That was funny. It was funny because majority of them kept getting married, and she's like, "What?"
Yeah.
It's actually a little bit of the humor in there because this was her job, and I think she was probably surprised on how many there were constantly. I guess it's like, are there any fighting for us at this point? Because they all keep leaving.
Exactly.
And then you had the equivalent in 2008.
Yeah.
And you had the triangle there with Wataru and I'm just going to say his brother and the girl the brothers are supposed to marry.
Yeah, he's escaping right now.
Yeah. Taiga, I think his name
Thank
is.
you. That's it. That's it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So, yes, we could absolutely see all of those. And it's definitely possible that Darren Nefsey or others that worked on the show watched this and decided to use this as inspiration for some of those plotlines they were developing in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seriously, like a lot of it does seem very similar, but kind of what I was mentioning to you before, like I also saw a little bit of similarity with Aquaman there, because if you remember from Aquaman's movie, there was a similar thing of two people from different worlds. A queen had it with a man, he became a normal one. But when I say Aquaman, I was also pointing out to how Taiga was, because Taiga, unlike Wataru, he was made from the Fangire King and Maya.
Right. Not a very nice guy.
Yeah, and just like how Aquaman had a half brother who was from the king of the time, who was actually just like Taiga was bred to become the king, and just like Maya, and just like Aquaman's mom and Maya, they were both pretty much ostracized and banished from their kind just for having a child with a human.
Right. True.
Yeah.
And you thought that the mom was gone, and then you find out later she was living in caves.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah.
With the deformity they had put on her, and
another plot twist.
Yeah, again, they just kept coming one after the other.
Right.
But they were interesting, and they furthered the plot, and it made it a good watch.
Right.
Sometimes you see things like that, and you're like, okay, this is too much. Why are you doing this? But you never felt that way once. When watching this, you were just like, okay, what's coming next? You got to the point of where you were just waiting to see what's going to happen next.
Yes.
Okay, who's someone else's sibling? Who's in love with someone else? And what's going to happen? Yeah, it got to the point where you knew that it was going to be something else, but it was written and done so well.
Right. And then the references that I caught, it was actually one before and one after, because at the time this was out, it really was in 2008. The first one is that when Kiva has the Emperor form armor on, he's got two different looking armors when it's the normal one, and then he's got a power up because it takes a lot more energy to defeat a Fangire.
Red and gold.
Yes.
And shiny.
And then when it gets to that form, the Emperor form, I realized that we had played a Sonic game called Sonic and the Black Knight, and towards the end of the game, Sonic gets this Excalibur armor, which is all gold and red. Mm-hmm. And when I saw Kiva's form, all I could think was that, okay, so this Excalibur Knight form was inspired from Kiva's form. And I was just losing because it was hilarious that they actually got something from here. And he also had a talking sword, and it looked like that was supposed to be their version of Kivon.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
And we also saw the same thing in Delicious in Dungeon.
Yes, with the talking
we had never
sword.
seen that before, and then we were like, okay, it came from Kiva.
Right. And the one more reference was, I think you said it was Megami who was the one that was part of that organization wiping out the Fangires. Was that his name?
Megami
yeah.
Sumo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He ended up traveling to the past.
Oh, he's Wataru.
Okay, traveling to the past, back to 86. And it was hilarious because the look like the world was ending. All of a sudden, it's just ending. Like right now, it's ending. It's you gotta go back and you gotta stop this from happening in order to prevent it. And he goes back 20 years to take out somebody. And I was like, no, they didn't just give him Silver's story. And it just he went back 20 years instead of 200 years. And it was actually hilarious. And like if this came out a year or two after that particular game, so they had used a reference from there, and then Sonic referenced Kamen Rider after, which I thought was funny. 1 year after the other, they kept referencing each other.
And Sonic can't stop referencing Kamen Rider.
Right?
He couldn't help but be a Kamen Rider later.
Right.
That would be cool.
Yes.
Better than Miraculous. And now that you brought that up, those were some great episodes where he returned to the past now.
Yeah.
Where he went back to the past and he met his dad.
Yeah.
And he saw both of them younger.
Yes.
And all the things that happened, and he was trying to save them. And Oichi was trying to act like a dad. And the one thing that really cracked me up was when he spanked him on the butt. You gotta do what your dad tells you. I'm your dad.
He's 7 years old.
First he didn't believe it. And then when he realized he was telling the truth, all of a sudden he went into
parent mode.
Crazy dad mode, right?
Oh, man.
And he wanted to save his son.
Right.
And then you got to see a more serious side of him because he was determined for him not to get hurt, as well as Maya.
Right.
So I like that they added that added another dimension to the series.
Yes.
And we got to see another side of Otoya we hadn't seen before.
Right.
Yeah, that was definitely heartwarming towards the end there, because they really show that he may have been immature, but he wasn't foolish.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, he wasn't a deadbeat or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they wrote that in and help you to understand that character more as well.
Right.
You mentioned the violin, and that was also something very different that we have seen in any Western or Japanese series or anime.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little more about the significance of the violin that Otoya actually made?
Right.
Yeah, the Bloody Rose.
Mm-hmm.
That was the name of the violin. It was a standard violin that had like a picture of a woman's face carved into the handle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly what. I actually tried looking that up before, but apparently not one actually exists like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but the significance of the violin, and it's brought up from basically the very first episode on the Bloody Rose. We see Wataru own it, and apparently it was created by Wataru's father, Otoya.
Okay, yeah.
He was along with being a musician and womanizer and whatnot. He was also a violin craftsman, and so Wataru is having the Bloody Rose being the only keepsake of his father. He strives to make it, and pretty much every other episode he tries different materials. He tries different paints. He even tries to use a deadly soup color to try to paint the violin.
Yes.
Yes.
But he can never seem to make it.
Right.
And so we actually learn later on when Wataru and when Otoya and Maya's relationship starts to flourish, that Maya gets so intrigued that she helps build one. And then we learn later that it was both of them that created the Bloody Rose, not just Otoya.
Right.
And although it was never mentioned in the show, though I did look this up, that supposedly the only reason why Wataru never made an exact copy, or at least made a similar copy of the Bloody Rose, was because Maya also helped make it, that she infused some of her Fangirus powers into it, and that's what truly helped it, because Wataru was only focusing on the human aspect of it.
Right.
So that's interesting, lining up with, as you were saying, his dual nature.
Yeah.
So that's a good write-in also.
Yes.
So we get to Wataru and Taiga, and like you see in a lot of other stories, you have what's supposed to be one good brother and one evil brother.
Right.
What I like is that at the end, they end up being brothers, and they end up fighting the evil and the Fangires together.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I was really hoping for that. It didn't look like it was going to go that way,
Yeah.
especially after something Tiger does. We won't spoil it for you guys in case you watch it. That you were like, oh no, it's over. He's done it.
Yeah.
But it turned out much differently than you thought. So there is a happy ending, and I think I remember you telling us that there's not always a happy ending in Kamen Rider. But you do have one in here. And then Wataru ends up marrying Megami. No, Kaisuke and Megami get married.
Yeah.
and we didn't talk about them, but they have the wedding in the end, and it's funny because the first thing Rascal and I said, hey, that's the Fantastic Four movie, the second movie.
Sure
because
was.
they had the wedding and they had to run off to save the Earth.
Right.
And was like, that's the same thing. They referenced it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I won't spoil it either, but seriously, like, it's one thing to do plot twists like finding out someone is their secret brother or finding out that somebody is somebody else's daughter, you know what I mean?
Right.
But this ending, oh my god, again, I won't spoil it, but it felt like they were trying to do not just your classic gothic literature or monster movie genres. It felt like they were trying to do everything at once, to where they include aliens.
Yes.
Yeah, like that here. We haven't done that yet. Throw it in.
It felt like the ending of Bolt. Aliens.
Yeah, like, okay.
So I want to give a shout out to the writers, Toshiki Inui and Shoji Yonemura. Again, this was done very, very well. And they had 6 directors, so, you know, usually, it's, at least in the West, when you have that many people, it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
But they really made it work, and they really did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
There's 48 episodes in the series, and we saw that there are also some movies that came after it, and even a manga that came out after the series ended. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Okay, the manga, no, because I again, there's so much you guys look more into that I haven't.
It's called the Hero Saga, King of Vampire.
Okay, the movies. Well, there were really, at least during the time of Kiva, there were 2 major movies that flourished. One was your classic crossover movie of Kamen Rider Den-O, the series that came before, and Kiva, because pretty much every Super Sentai Kamen Rider series is always supposed to have a team up with the hero that came before and after him.
And they advertised that over and over, so there's no way you couldn't know that was happening.
Yes. At the end of every episode, they advertise that movie.
Right.
Yeah, though unfortunately your guys' copy and mine either didn't come with that movie.
No, yeah.
Unfortunately, you're like, wait a minute, there's one missing.
And then there was the second movie.
And then there was another one missing where there was the major movie, at least the standalone. Every Kamen Rider also has like their own standalone movie that happens within that.
Except Kuga.
It's technically not canonical, though I will say it's Kamen Rider Kiva, Demon Castle.
Oh,
something.
Yeah, because they kept
King of the Castle of the Demon World, or in the Demon World. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because they kept advertising it with some of the supposed villains of it going on tour and finding clues and stuff that leads to the premiere of the movie, which actually was fun. It was something interactive.
Mm-hmm. So that had to be exciting.
Yeah.
That had to be exciting because I wanted a movie for Kuga. Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a movie, and he hasn't come back. So, you know, right now, that's the only downside of Kamen Rider for me.
Right.
No more Kuga, original Kuga.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this was really a great watch. We really enjoyed it. We didn't know we were going to enjoy it this much, honestly. It took a little while for us, as we told you, to get in. And by the 3rd episode, we were kind of picking up things and understanding, and if we got it wrong, you would clarify and straighten it out for us, I should say. Thank you. But this is definitely a standout, and we can see why it's your favorite.
Right.
Kuga's still ours, but now we've only watched 2, so Kiva will have to be our second favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same but reverse for Kuga and Kiva.
So let's give a shout out to the actors quickly.
Okay.
Wataru was played by Koji Sato, and I understand he's a musician in real life. I think that's what we did see. Is that correct?
Yeah.
He has a band in real life. Yeah. If you guys know about it, let us know in the comments. Kaisuke Nago was played by Kaisuke Kato. Megami was played by Nana Yanagasawa. Kingo Irate, I keep saying voice like it's an anime, played by Kohei Kumai. Taiga Shoma Yamamoto, and he looked familiar. I don't know if he's been in anything else. I need to check because I kept saying he looks familiar, like we've seen him in something else. And Mio, which is the one we didn't mention, who Wataru was in love with.
Yeah.
And so was Taiga with the 3 of them.
Yeah, the triangle. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yura Haga and Tatsulat Akira Ishida. I don't know who. Do you know who voiced Kiva the Bat the Third?
Yeah, let me look that up, Craig. Tomokazu Sugita.
Okay. And we did notice, of course, we don't know who they are, but at the end of the episodes, they kept letting you know that there was a special guest star who appeared. Mm-hmm. So it looks like this one had more guest stars than Kuga, because we kept seeing names at the end, and there were quite a few that would go up at the top of the screen and say, you know, special thanks to and guest star. And we were like, wow, so this particular series had a lot of other I guess, you know, actors and singers and so forth that people were familiar with who were watching it. And possibly, we don't know, maybe others from other series. Were there any other actors who appeared in other Kamen Rider series that made an appearance in here? Do you know?
None that again, apart from the crossover movies, I don't believe any did implicitly in the series.
Okay. So we're very, very grateful again to learn of the Kamen Rider franchise, and you're introducing us to 2 great series now. And we are currently watching Agito, which is the, well, I guess you say a sequel to Kuga.
Yes.
And it's different from Kuga.
Yes.
So we definitely see what you're saying. They have one form, the blue form, that's used, but it's very different from Kuga.
Yes.
It's not just copy and paste.
Yes, and we do like that.
Oh, I also want to point out that currently the Toei Online on YouTube are showing full episodes of Kamen Rider Agito fully English subbed.
Okay.
Oh, that works even better for a lot of people who want to see that too.
Yes, definitely.
Yep, right now they're on episode 4, but as far as I know, every week they're showing episodes of Agito and Kabuto.
Woo, cool.
So I guess
they're smarter than most companies.
we'll continue watching it subbed, and then maybe we can go watch it dubbed. We'll be behind because we're further in on the DVDs.
Right.
But that's great.
Perfect, yeah.
So are any final statements either of you want to make for Kiva?
Well, just...
you first. You're first, Playmaker.
Okay, so Kiva, what else can I say? It is like one of my favorite series because it tugs on all of the nerves, not only like the action and just the overall coolness of it with all the stuff that it has in it, but it really does play into the whole soap aesthetic to where you actually get to know how each character feels about one another. And oh, sorry, I'm lost in my own words right now.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, we know you love it.
Kiva, I think, definitely plays on the real life emotions of it, and then just like the typical, I want to do this to make sure that everyone can be happy, everyone in the world can be safe and whatnot. They actually show like real relationships in this series, ones that I feel like some Kamen Rider series don't really thrive as much as the action.
And we definitely didn't hear they want to make people smile. Yeah. We didn't hear that.
Right.
And you hear that a lot now watching a lot of the anime and other series. We heard it in Kuga, but in here we didn't hear it. So again, they made sure it was really different.
Right.
Your final thoughts?
I think it would be that you can see why each individual Kamen Rider would have its own fan base. And for this one, it seems to be, for what we see reviews, a lot of people praise that it was able to juggle so many different things that seem weird and out of place, but as you watch, everything starts to be interwoven and connected, and it actually does have a point to the story. With the monsters, the violin, the red rose, the romance, the soap opera, the horror, everything had a point to it to create something very unique. So I have to say that is probably one of the greatest things about Kiva. It takes things that you think wouldn't work when you see it on its own, but as you watch it, it starts to blend and make sense and makes for something very unique.
And before I get to my last comment, I want to mention that Yamamoto, as we mentioned in real life, is a performer, and a lot of the songs were standouts, being hit singles. And then in 2009, I think it was, they had a re-release with different arrangements for the music for some of the songs that were used within the series. So they had their own original, I guess you could say, soundtrack
Yes.
for this series, which is pretty neat.
Yes.
For me, I really enjoyed all of the drama, which and all of the plot twists.
Yes.
For me, that made it really more interesting, really engaging. And I was really happy with the happy ending with the two brothers coming together.
Yes.
I think for this one, as I mentioned, with so many producers and two writers, they still made it something cohesive that was something you really had to pay attention to when you watched. It wasn't like, okay, I can just half watch this and get it. You really had to focus, concentrate, pay attention, and I like how they built on the story as the series progressed.
Right.
And it wasn't just things that were just happening for the sake of writing something there.
Right.
They really developed the story and developed the characters.
Right.
That's what I really like most about Kiva. And I also like that Wataru was likable.
Yes,
I mean, I
very
like when the main character is likable.
Yes.
And he really was. He was a great choice. And did he ever appear in anything else outside of those two movies? In the Kamen
yes.
Rider franchise?
Yes, actually, it's funny because the series that came after him, Decade, as I mentioned in my own video too, Kamen Rider Decade is basically where the main rider meets alternative universe versions of every Kamen Rider. And so typically he wouldn't meet like, the actual actors like, like Joe. He didn't meet Joe Kuga. He met like an alternate version of Joe.
Yeah.
Of Kuga.
Yeah.
But actually, even though he met an alternate version of Kiva, which in that series was like some little kid who was playing a version of him, he also did actually meet the actor for Kiva that played Kiva. But for some reason, this wasn't the same. Although he was the same actor and he was Kiva, he wasn't the same Kiva, if that makes sense. He
Yes.
acted more like, like a omnipotent being, like it is your job to do this for the Kamen Riders, not like sounding pretty much nothing like the Kiva we saw in Kiva.
Wow. Okay. Well, at least they had him back.
Yeah.
At least they had him back. That's good.
Yeah.
Basically, he was like like how Gamora was in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then in Endgame.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good example. Now it definitely makes sense to us and everyone else too.
Right.
So, if any of you have seen Kamen Rider Kiva, let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on the series? How many other Kamen Rider series have you watched? Is it one of your favorites or your favorite like Playmaker? Let us know in the comments. And if you haven't seen it, he just let you know you can watch episodes slowly for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can also purchase the DVDs. I don't know where,
Be somewhere.
but you
Well,
can.
Shout Factory currently has Kuga, Ryuki, Kamen Rider Geats, and 01 available, but they are outrageously expensive.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
And I did see on a Kamen Rider website that if you are outside of the West, you can see a lot of these for free on the website, the Japanese website.
Right.
So give it a watch, come back and tell us what you think.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and movie videos for your anime series, anime shows, all things animation, and now Kamen Rider.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining all of us today. And Playmaker, thank you for joining us as well. It's always a joy to have you, and thank you for guiding our Kamen Rider journey.
Yes.
And as always, it's always been a pleasure to join you guys on these videos and any other series that we all enjoy.
Yes.
Yes.
Speaking of which, there'll be another SpongeBob coming up sometime this year, seasons 6 through 10. Playmaker will be joining us. Join us for that. And if you haven't already, visit his website.
Yeah.
You know he's got Spider Marco and
Yeah.
so many other things. Fun to watch, joy to watch, inspiring. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and make
Check
sure
it
you
out.
check out what he puts out.
Yes.
So again, thank you all for joining us. As always, you are our specials.
Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainments.
And I'm Playmaker.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting flashing lights, trying to walk around, man. Who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.